Hello and welcome to Cardio versus Weight Training Part 2. In this session, we're going to cover what is resistance strength training, and we're just going to cover a little bit more about what this actually is and this strength training thing. Now, ladies in particular, a lot of you think you're going to get massive as soon as you touch some weights, and you know, a common thing I hear is, "Oh, I don't want to get bulky." Well, trust me, I've been trying for years to get bulky. It's not easy. And picking up heavy weights 3 times a week is not going to do it. You know, if you want to get bulky, then you need to probably do 2 hours, 5 days a week, and you need to eat a lot of calories, and that's the reality. So don't worry about getting bulky. The resistance training gives you so many benefits, which aren't just for getting muscles. Okay. So resistance training, also called strength training or weight training, it's all the same. It's creating resistance to lift, pull against the force, contract your muscles and build strength. And it will build the endurance of the muscles, and it will also build the size of the muscles, but not very massive, not, you know, hugely. And to maintain that size is quite hard as well. So resistance training is built upon the principle that the muscles of the body will work to overcome a resistance force when they are required to do so. And when you do resistance training repeatedly, your body will become stronger. Immediately, you'll actually become slightly weaker. So if you do 10 reps of any kind of resistance exercise and you can't do the 11th, temporarily you're weaker and you're going to regenerate. And then what happens is, if you leave that a couple of days or a week, or a couple of days, really, your body's going to super compensate, and then you're going to become stronger. And that's what your body does. It's like, oh my God, what the hell just happened? And then you become stronger, and that's how it works. And that's why it's super important. So some examples of resistance training, there's loads of different things you can do with resistance training. You don't always need to be lifting weights, but that's usually the way it goes. You've got barbells, free weights. These we use predominantly free weights in the gym because they give you a lot more benefits, more stability. You've got dumbbells, kettlebells, you know, all sorts of stuff that you would have seen in the gym so far. But it can actually use resistance bands quite effectively. And if you're training online, you might only have resistance bands, and that's absolutely fine. You can get quite a lot of benefits out of resistance bands without having the bulk of having weights around. Really portable. They're great, actually. There's loads of other stuff you might have seen in other gyms, you know, sort of resistance machines, suspension equipment and machines and things like that. Suspension equipment's quite good if at home as well. You can set up a set of rings somewhere and use your body weight, even just your own body weight for doing pull-ups, body weight squats, all sorts of things. Again, you can do your online training with just body weight. You can still get results with just using your body weight. It's quite incredible, really. So there is, you know, just because we're saying resistance training, it doesn't necessarily mean just weights. It can mean whatever. What are the benefits of weightlifting? Well, there are blooming loads of them. And I've actually done 2 videos on YouTube about all the benefits, and I had to do a version 2 because there are so many benefits. So we improve muscle strength and tone, maintain flexibility, weight management, all of these things. The benefits of improving your muscle tone and strength is going to protect your joints from injury. This maintaining flexibility, again, as you get older, that's super important, and your balance. It helps with weight management. So the more muscle you have, the more calories you burn at rest. That's the thing. That's why we want to be doing this for burning fat, because if you have more muscle, you burn more calories at rest. And that's a really, really important thing. Might help produce cognitive decline in older people. There's research to show that might be the case. Could be just a case of learning new things, and release of endorphins. But whatever it is, who cares? It's a good thing. Improve your stamina, which again, as you grow older, you need that stamina to just maintain yourself throughout the day. Prevent and control chronic illnesses such as diabetes. It can help stabilize your blood sugar. Heart disease makes your heart stronger. Arthritis improves your back pain. It can release endorphins, which help with depression and obesity. So it really is great. Pain management, again, those endorphins can suppress pain. improve mobility, balance, posture, decrease of injury. There's so many things that it does. Self-esteem, like you look better, you feel better, and you are, you know, looking in the mirror, seeing some muscles. It's like, oh yeah, I am looking good. So, you know, that's a big thing in itself. So there are loads and loads of benefits of weight training. So some principles of resistance training. Now, we always follow this move fit principle with whatever we do. It doesn't matter if you're lifting weights, doesn't matter if you're doing cardio. If you learn to move well, the risk of injury is lowered significantly. A lot of people think lifting weights is going to injure them. Well, anything will injure you if you do it badly for long enough. So that's why we're so keen on improving your technique and improving your movement quality. Once you've mastered basic movements, maybe it's just with a bar, and you can repeat it consistently over time, then we can increase the intensity, getting fit and remaining injury-free. What does intensity mean? Intensity could be speed, it could be the weight, or it could be like the explosiveness or the amount of reps rather that you're doing, okay? So the actual principles involved in sort of creating a program, just so you know what they are. You're going to want a variety of exercises, which is what we do. We need aerobic, you know, flexibility, strength, balance, all of power, all of these different things. Now, there is a difference between some of the programs that we do. So we do different times of the year. You'll notice that the rep ranges, so that's the amount of reps, sort of up and down, if you like, of what repetitions, that is what rep is, the amount of repetitions changes. And that means that we are actually focused on slightly different outcomes. And then what the reason is, it just creates variety, and you're not doing the same thing every time you come in. So without getting too technical, you've got 3 to 5 reps roughly. And if you do that heavy and you can't sort of do the 6th one, then that is building purely just strength, not size of the muscle, nothing else, just strength. If you are going even less than that and you're doing it quickly, that's power. So strength and power are slightly different. Any longer than sort of 15 to 20 reps, that's your muscle endurance. So you're able to do the same kind of things, and you can increase the weight at that level as well. And then anywhere in between there, pretty much all of those will, but mainly sort of the 8 to 12 range, will increase the actual size of the muscles as well. So, you know, and that's not always a bad thing, especially when you're first starting off. So what you'll notice if you're just joining us at the beginning of the year, you know, we start with hypertrophy because we typically get lots of people joining in the beginning of the year. Doesn't matter where you join the program, but we do 12 weeks, well, we do 6 weeks of hypertrophy training, and we repeat those 6 weeks. So every single workout is going to be different within that 6-week period, and just creates that variety for you. The weights, there's different weights that we've got, all the different types and stuff, but that you will increase. Don't be scared of increasing the weight. As long as you've got good form, you know, you can always check with your coach. Don't just pick a lighter weight to be on the safe side, unless we say so. But also don't pick a heavier weight because your ego. So you got to be realistic. The reason we say that 8 to 12 range is so that you can get at least 8 and a max of 12, and you know you're still hitting the sort of range that we're after. If you can do 12 easy, you need to go heavier because you're not getting the requirement from the exercise. You're not getting the benefits. Okay, exercise, yeah, different exercises. Sets and reps. Okay, sets. Well, start with reps. Rep is repetition, as I've just explained. If you had to do 5 sets of 15 repetitions, you've got to do 15 repetitions 5 times, and that's a set. So one set of 15. So that's what a set is. Reps I've already talked about. Generally, we'll give you rest in between those, so you can actually recover the muscles. Loads of variety, as I've said. Progressive overload. So to continue getting those benefits, you've got to make sure you make it harder for yourself. You've got to reach that point where you start failing almost, but you still maintain good form and good technique. And you've got to get to that point, well, otherwise you're just really going to coast and you're not going to get the kind of benefits that we're looking for. You need the recovery, like roughly 48 hours per muscle group. You'll notice again that we're training we train most of the body every session, but not all of it. And there's a reason for that, because we need to allow you to recover before you hit the next muscle group. If we did legs, or not legs, but thighs or quads, if we did that every time you came into the gym, your quads and your legs would just be in pieces. But we might do the front of the quads, so the quads, front of the thigh, the quads, and then the back, which is the hamstrings. So we might sort of do different muscle groups in there. Aerobic training. So let's talk about this and top tips to burn calories. And burning calories equals burning fat. So aerobic training burns calories. It's a continuous exercise to get you slightly breathless, but allows you to hold conversation with your training partner or whatever at the same time. So if you're looking to burn fat, then we need to incorporate this, which we do in the sessions. You need to do 3 times a week to see some measurable gains, which is why we want you 3 times a week. But you can also add in some walking, some jogging, cycling, rowing, swimming, whatever. Like any of those kind of activities are good additional things to do on top of your gym session. They are not if you only do them, you're not going to get the same results as if you could do the resistance training as well. So it's quite important. An hour spent burning calories in a swimming pool is quite different, because your body, or in sea swimming, your body requires less energy when it's got support from water or something like that. So when you've got to support yourself using body weight, you're going to get much better results. And you'll see, like, there's some pretty overweight people who swim amazingly. And the reason for that is they're very, swimming is basically technique based mainly. And so swimming is not the greatest thing if you want to, seriously burn some calories and make use of your time, and use your time as the most effective way as you possibly can, which is what it's all about. If you think about a car traveling 100 miles per hour and the same distance as a car who's traveling 50 miles per hour, you're going to get there, you're going to use a lot more fuel driving 100 miles per hour. So the harder you work out, the more fuel you require. Simple as that. You get a longer calorie post burn. So studies have shown that inserting short, more intense efforts will significantly ramp up your calorie burn, particularly after a session. As then you get like an afterburn, which is great. And that happens even more so when you're incorporating the resistance in there. Obviously, it's going to increase your fitness, doing that sort of thing as well. So that's calorie burning in there. Anaerobic, so exercising with weights and using your body weight, again, should be really key part of a fat loss program, which is why we include it. And if you're not trying to burn fat, you're just increasing your overall fitness, again, that's fine. And it should be incorporated into there. Increases muscle mass, obviously, and the energy cost to your body of having muscle mass is much greater than if you didn't. So in the scenario where you are trying to lose body fat, we need to increase the muscle. In the scenario where you're training for a triathlon, then you want to reduce your body muscle. That's a completely different story, and that's not what we're here to talk about for most people. But in that case, you want to reduce your body muscle because you're going to be using lots of calories to propel yourself a long way. So you don't actually want that much muscle. I got a bit too much muscle in that picture, really. I'd have been much quicker. I'd have been much more efficient if I didn't have as much muscle in there, but not a bad thing, I don't think. Well, it actually is if you're competitive, which I'm not. So anyway, obviously the tightening up, the pulling in effect, that that tones kind of thing that everyone loves to say. It's not strictly toning, but it is muscle building and fat loss. So it's basically a combination, and that will happen. Also, you'll just feel more together, like your body will feel more stable, and that's the other good thing about it all, of course. So which one is the best for fat loss? Well, I think it's pretty obvious. You need a bit of both. You can't just focus on just lifting weights, and you can't focus, or you can't just focus on aerobic training or anaerobic training. You need to do a bit of both to get maximal results and make the most out of your workouts. And you're just going to keep that's going to keep you in that fat burning zone. If you just do long distance aerobic training, as soon as you stop, you're pretty much done. Like you might burn more calories in a shorter amount of time. So over an hour, you might burn, say, 600 calories doing aerobic. I reckon I would, if I went for a run, I'd probably run about 600. Now in a workout, which I've just done, I was using weights, I was using cardio, I was doing everything. Now I looked at my watch and I've only done 400, 450. But what happens after that, you've got like 4 times the amount of calorie burning, because I'm still a little bit warm from that. My body is repairing the muscles. So again, you need a bit of both to make it most effectively, which is why we do it. So yeah, you'll find things that, you know, quick fixes, they work in the short term, but they're not, you know, long-term things. So to be a long-term, stop you falling off the wagon, we need to combine them. And yeah, any movement's better than no movement, but let's make it the most efficient, you know, part of your day. And when you do exercise, you know, most of us don't particularly like doing exercise. We do it because we want the results. We can enjoy it, but like, to be honest, like most of the time we don't enjoy it, but we enjoy the after effects, the feeling of doing that, the community side of it. So we just want to make it as effective as possible, use the most up-to-date science and techniques that are out there in the industry, really. So there you go. That's your summary bit there. If you have any questions about resistance training, how we do the program or anything like that, I can't imagine many of you do, but if you do, then feel free to ask. Obviously, that was quite focused on fat loss, but if you are trying to gain muscle and you don't care about fat loss, you're still going to benefit out of those, you know, all the training that we do. The only thing I would say is that you don't really want to be doing cardio in your spare time. You want to be doing a bit more, maybe some resistance bands. You know, take some resistance bands home, get yourself a set of them, and do a bit more exercises at home. Like, you know what to do. We teach you what to do in the gym, keep you safe. You can do them at home, or you can stay a bit later if you want and do a bit extra. That's absolutely fine. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.